Jennifer here again with Belladonna's Botanicals, or from Belladonna's Botanicals. And this is a video I wanted to make because this is a very common thing I run into. And I get a lot of questions from friends, clients, customers, colleagues about, who they can trust, who are good teachers, who are good, authors, what, because there's a lot out there. The signal to noise ratio, I usually have to point out, is that the loudest voices in the room often aren't the smartest voices and aren't the best voices to be listening to. They're just the loudest voices in the room. So what I want to talk about here is, I'm just going to give you a quick little TLDR of what it is there's a concept called the Dunning-Krueger Effect. And really what that is, it's a cognitive bias that causes people to overestimate their knowledge and in our sphere, their spiritual awakening ability and their magical abilities in a particular area. In our case, in the occult sphere, when they lack the necessary skills or intelligence, spiritual awakening, and expertise to recognize it. So you end up with people who claim to be all that and just are not. Again, the loudest voices in the room. So, and this hits all areas. So it's basically the point in which I'm just going to overestimate and be overconfident and convince you that I know literally everything ever. I have some secret knowledge. I'm infallible and I can treat people however I want. And then the thing is, it's so freaking obvious when this is happening. You just have to know what to look for. So I'm going to give you some of the things that I would say. I'll give you from my perspective how I approach things and how and the things I've seen and witnessed and things I've been asked, told, whatever. So take it for what you will. This is just advice on how to pick good spiritual leaders, because about the vast majority of them are absolutely crap half the time. Look for the quieter voices in the room. Look for the smartest person in the room. It's usually not the loudest person in the room. So where I'll start with this, I'm going to start with myself first, because, well, here we are. I will always approach things with humility. I know that I do not know everything. I do get asked questions as if I would know everything. Like, no, I don't know what happens after we die. I can speculate, but I don't have, some kind of concrete written in stone thing that says this is exactly what happens, or this is this and only this. I allow for the fact that my opinions on things may change as new information becomes available to me. I may change my stance on things as I do more research and new information comes to me. I have a background in classical academic research, so I know how to vet sources, and I read sources that are the exact opposite. I'm not going to just do research to prove my hypothesis and to prove my point of view without looking at opposing ones, without looking at, sometimes the bullshit that's out there. And I'm glad I've experienced the bullshit I have from, wannabe crackpot, sorcerers and cult leaders and stuff like that. But the proof's in the pudding, so to say. I know how to do academic research and vet my sources. I'm not going to, I'm not going to claim a valid source in some tinfoil hat, crackpot TikTok video I watched. That is not a vetted resource. It's an opinion, sure. But being able to have the discernment to say, this is a good quality resource, this is absolute crap, is really important. And to also say, okay, here's a broad topic. Here are 20 different conflicting things on that topic. Let's explore those 20 conflicting things, not just the one that proves our point of view. So I learned all this because I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in art history and studio arts. So I spent a lot of time studying, art history, world history, philosophy, theory, criticism, aesthetics on down the road. Also did a year into a grad school program and did a lot of research and it was very research based on the academic side while doing photography on the creative side. So I am well educated in that sense. So I know things from having been educated in that way to be able to look at academic studies. You're not going to be able to hand in a paper that's based on Wikipedia articles. Occasionally, if I need a little TLDR, like, here's a quick definition of something, sure, just so I have the thing, because sometimes I forget about what I'm talking about while I'm talking about it, which is awesome, because, hey, ADHD is great. So being able to show a level of discernment and being able to admit when you're wrong and you fuck up is really important. People who don't admit that and don't apologize for it and don't at least mea culpa it, like, oh, I got that information wrong. Because, hey, we're human. None of us knows everything. And I'll be the first person to say, I don't know everything. There's some areas where I'm fucking brilliant, others that I have learning disabilities around, like from spectrumy things like dyscalculia and dysgraphia make me absolute crap at math. Like, if you look at my standardized testing, I look like I should probably be a very low IQ intelligent person, and I'm not. It's just that I've got a brain that works differently. And I don't do well with standardized testing as a judgment of my intelligence. But as part of one of the things, the blessings and curses of the spectrum is that I hyperfixate and focus on a lot of different topics, and I get bored. So I like to learn a lot of things, and I am constantly reading. For as busy as I am, I still bang out 50 books a year or more. I have, and it's on my website, I have plenty of credentials because I also take a fuck ton of certifications, classes, workshops, and anything I can when I can. I don't care if it's even something I've already taken a class on. I'll just take another class on it for a different perspective or a different technique on how to do something. I'm constantly learning, changing, and evolving. And you should look for that in leaders too. You should be looking to people that you can see a progression in their life. Now, is anyone's life perfect? No, gestures around the world we live in, of course not. But there should be some measure of put your money where your mouth is. Are you actually, doing? How am I going to believe your bullshit if you got nothing to show for it? Or if you've just been peddling, in place for year after year after year. Ooh, my hat wiggles when I wiggle my head. Science, y'all. I take multiple perspectives, multiple just avenues of things to understand them better. It's not just what Joe Pundit says. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to look at all the information and cogitate, and from there, what works best for me. Not every, I mean, I don't agree with everyone. I don't agree with a lot of my friends, and we our colleagues and stuff. I'm like, well, I agree with this, but not necessarily with that, or this approach or that approach just doesn't work for me. It's no shade or anything. They're not. It's I sometimes just have to find things that work for me. But being able to vet information is also important, and critical thinking skills are important and sorely overlooked. If someone can't look at something from more than one perspective and accept that, okay, stick with me, guys. More than one thing can be true about a situation or topic. Sometimes those things can even be conflicting and still be true. Yeah. So when you are being fed the line of, I tend to stay away from people who kind of come from the place of like, I'm privy to knowledge that you aren't, and I know more than you, and the Chicken Littling, and the boy who cried wolfing, and stuff like that. Like, we all receive prophecy, we all receive signs and stuff, and I look at things. I mean, I've got tons of that shit. Has some of it come into fruition? Yeah. I wish some of it didn't, but or Or sometimes it takes a while for that story to unfold. Like, why didn't all these spells work? Or why am I getting this message and this message and this message? This doesn't make any sense until 3 years later, like, I get it now. Well, fuck. So, a good leader is willing to admit their shortcomings. I will admit that, hi, I'm ADHD as fuck and sometimes chaotic. I can be unintentionally blunt. I'm not intending to be offensive. I'm not tending to be rude. I just am very matter of fact about things and very direct because I personally don't do well with when people are being vague and there's a lot of gray area. I'm just like, well, what the fuck is this shit? you know? So that's something to consider there. I also do a lot of research if you've watched any videos on my channel. I've got a lot in here on what to look out for and how not to end up in a cult because hi, done that twice. Oops. But there are people who are leaders and people who are followers, and sometimes we end up in positions like I'm here to just do the work, to share my experiences, do my things, whatever. I regularly check myself to make sure my ego is always staying in check, that I'm not just getting that line and believing my own bullshit, thinking I'm, above it all and whatnot, because I'm not. I could be wrong. You could be wrong. We all could be wrong. Woo. So what else would I suggest? Reputation is important. I know some people don't give a little crap about what people think of them, and that's great and all, but I care what people. Oh, all right. Let me put it this way. How do I want to put it? I do and don't care what people think at times, but I'm also a Gemini, so sometimes I can have two very conflicting approaches to things. Like, they're the people who I really care about. Like, if they thought I was an idiot, I would be really upset about it. But the rest of the people, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But I do kind of shield myself a little bit because of the rejection sensitivity dysphoria part of ADHD. So like, I rarely ever read my reviews on Etsy or I don't think I haven't looked at my Amazon ones in years. I mean, I don't even care if people leave reviews on Amazon at this point. But so look at the demeanor of the person. Like, I mean, I can get a little, I can admit my faults. I can get a little snippy. I also have a very strong voice, so I can sound shouty when I don't intend to. I'm very direct, and if it comes to push comes to shove, I will tell you to fuck off, just how, when, where, and why to do so. But that's usually not my first, unless I'm accosted in that manner. It's usually going to take me a very long hot minute to get the point of fuck all the way off. It may even take years. So, I know my shortcomings. I know that I'm not perfect. I'm never going to portray myself as that. I learn so much just from talking to other people, even with clients and customers of mine. Like, sometimes, they ask questions about products. I'm like, well, you don't need my permission to use it in that particular way, but okay. I mean, I know people sometimes are concerned about whether they're doing things right or wrong. I'm like, just do it. But if a leader is just going to, or put that in any terms, if someone is just going to berate you for being stupid, for whatever question you ask or for whatever you do, they can fuck all the way off. Because I'll give you an example of that. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I used to work in retail. This was in the mid 90s. And I worked at a department store, a clothing section. And my boss, who was seemingly nice, was like, oh, she was always enforcing, oh, there's no stupid questions, open door, you can ask me anything. And I asked her something at one point, and she literally turned to me and she's like, that's the stupidest fucking thing anyone has ever asked to me. And I was young. I was like maybe 20, 21 at the time. And I just kind of was like, I went back and just folded jeans or something, trying not to because I was in a really bad state. This was in my trauma years, so not in the best mindset. Like I was there, like shook, like I was like ready. I was like almost in tears, and I hate crying in front of people. And literally, next day I woke up, called in, was like, "Yeah, I'm not coming in today or any other day. I quit. Fuck y'all." Hung up, and then never came back. That's when I'm treated that way in an abusive manner. Like people get fiery and passionate. I do it all the time. Hello, have you watched my channel? Also for me too is with being on the spectrum, I spent decades of my life masking. So sometimes I have to make sure that I'm not speaking. Sometimes it can be very flat affect and say things that I've accidentally just rendered an entire room of people laughing their asses off on the floor because I've just deadpan said something very droll and like just very like monotone, droll, like not any kind of emotionality attached to it, and then just watch everyone drop because I apparently just said the most hilarious freaking thing ever, which and my lack of my deadpanness kind of made it even more hilarious. So I try to that's why I'm very like when I talk, I use my hands a lot. I try to make, facial expressions that match what I'm saying. So I'm not saying something that's coming off. So you know that I'm not being an asshole to you for that. Now I will bring up, I can be petty. I'll admit that I got some pettiness to me. Don't get me wrong. But I also I like to lead by example and teach by example. And sometimes if I would call people out on their bullshit, I'll call people out on their bullshit. Like sometimes like in the bullshit of which 563 email woman, person, which ended up having to have me giving cause to change my international shipping policy. I had to give reason for that, and I used her as a reason for it. I don't normally call people out very directly like that. I'll just kind of I allude to things more because I I'm a business owner. I kind of don't want to necessarily be rude. But also I'm not going to take shit either. So I have plenty of rude customers to deal. Holy crap, sometimes people are assholes. But I try not to let it get to me. But am I going to make screaming videos at each and every one of them? Am I going to scream at every single person that comments on a thing that they're stupid and I know more than everyone? Be aware of people that claim to know more than everyone because chances are they know a lot less than the average person. So there be that. And I've seen so many different types of quasi-spiritual leaders. And look at kind of the other things they're into as well. Because I got to tell you guys, I mean, while I entertain like conspiracy theories, if that is your be all end all, you've got way too much free time and a lot of empty brain space because I just don't have the time to obsess over bullshit that I can't do anything about and really is neither here nor there. Like there's things I believe in. I am 100% sure the dead internet theory is real, based especially on the advanced AI stuff. But am I going to obsess myself with every single conspiracy theory ever? And any possible conflicting viewpoint from my own is, denied, ridiculed, whatever. I mean, unless it's particularly stupid. Yeah, like I accept that I can have perfectly reasonable conversations with people that I don't, would not agree with. Or we have disagreements and still walk out the other side like, yay. And being able to do so is key, but I think a lot of this goes back to reputation matters. So ask around because I wish I had done that because I got to tell you, I sort of alluded this a little bit in the Spirits Gone Wild video is like, I aligned myself with a lot of people for reasons, apparently, spiritual reasons, because it wasn't anything clout chasing. It wasn't anything whatever, but like, I'm sorry, but there's no fucking way I ever would have aligned myself with Become a Living God. Because when I first heard of them back, I think it's 5 or 6 years ago, it was with that whole Haitian voodoo thing they did. I'm like, white boy doing Haitian voodoo. I wonder how that's going to work out. Hello, cultural appropriation bullshit. And it is, and I am firmly still live and let live, and don't be a dick about it. You're going to be a dick about it. You're going to find out very soon that I am on the you really don't want to find out side of FAFO. And I'll leave it at that. I would say choose your leaders wisely. You should not be being abused by the people that you are following. Look at their lives. Yeah, okay, everyone's got shit going on, but if they're constantly stepping in shit everywhere they turn, yeah, that's probably not the greatest person you want to go to for advice. Listen to, the things you hear, because I think I wish I had done that more. So I could have saved myself a lot of bullshit. But I've learned a lot in these past 4.5 years that I've been traipsing through the left-hand path of the occult. I don't even know where I'm at this point. But you'll see the people, what I find, and this is what I say when leading by example. It's not the loudest voices in the room that you should be listening to, because they're not the smartest voices. They're just the loudest voices. Find the people that kind of keep to themselves a little bit, that may have a YouTube channel, may share, but are not, out there trying to form a cult, whether or not, or having a cult of personality forming around them. I mean, I have people that I align with, and it is very limited. I really keep myself and my energy very protected, and I've learned a lot. Less is more sometimes. And I'll take my brother's great advice. Mo people, mo problems. He's more on the Asperger's side of the spectrum. And before anyone corrects me on my use of Asperger's, he will kindly tell you anytime his official diagnosis is Asperger's with cheese, and F all the way off, because he is very annoyed about the erasure of his diagnoses. So anyways, I'm just trying to give you advice on how to find good, solid leaders, because I've burnt my way through a lot of them. And you know what I'm going to say here in the end? Be your own goddamn leader. Learn from whoever you can, but the only person that needs to be the leader is you. I can be a leader for me. You need to be a leader for you. We all need to be leaders. Stop being followers, because every single one of y'all, every single person I've seen that sort of espouses that lone wolf, kind of, looking down their nose, calling everyone else sheeple and stuff like that. It's the same way with people that call everyone snowflakes. They're the ones that snowflake out the hardest, and I'm here to point my fingers and laugh at them at this point. Because I said, I am petty. I will admit to that. Because being able to admit to your shortcomings is very important in a spiritual leader. And I'm not saying I'm a spiritual leader, because I don't want to be a spiritual leader. I'm just here to tell you shit from my experience, because I like to talk a lot. I don't want people following me. I don't want people worshiping me. I don't want people trying to be like me. Be yourselves. Awaken and arise, and stop following false prophets and charlatans. Because you know what ends up happening there? You're just going to follow them off the cliff like a bunch of lemmings. And Jonestown out, and you don't even know you're standing in the Kool-Aid line yet. But anyways, you need to be the leaders. You need to look at the people who lead by example. And am I perfect? Nope, not even a little. I've done some fucked up shit in my life, but you know what the whole thing is? It's learning, growing, integrating, becoming a better version of yourself. If you look at someone and they have been the exact same person and haven't made any progress on that, and have still not become a better version of themselves, or they start to get better for a little bit and then they just fall back, and they start to get better in a little bit and they fall back and they start to get better. So I will say one thing when we're talking about imperfections is my most toxic trait is I see the best in everyone. I see the potential in everyone. I always hope for people to find the way to heal and to integrate and become better versions of themselves. But the problem is I've caused grievous harm to myself by that. over the years because I've waited and waited and waited and given so many chances and so much of my time. And I end up being the one that gets screwed and hurt in the end. So I'm kind of learning to like cut ties a lot quicker than I used to because I keep giving people chances. And even with people I've cut ties with, I'm like, if they can come around, I'll allow for a conversation. But there's just times where I'm like, nope, door's closed. Don't bother knocking because I'm going to call the cops on you. At that point, I want no contact. So listen to your intuition. You have it. Trust me. I am absolute crap at listening to my intuition. So this is also a message for myself too, because, oh my God, I've aligned with so many people that like my intuition was like, no, 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 you shouldn't. No, stop. No, all right. See how that works out for you. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you were right, intuition. God damn it. So just to kind of wrap this up a little bit, if you're looking for a spiritual teacher, I mean, honestly, in the left-hand path especially, I mean, unless you're looking at joining a coven or a lodge or something like that, or an order, like you can learn all this shit yourself. Like I'm mostly self-taught, but like I mean I have taken specific, to hone a specific skill or to learn a specific craft, like, all the technical stuff I do for, the products I create. I spend tens of thousands of dollars on that, like aromatherapy certifications, herbalism courses, all that stuff. I am very well educated. And, sometimes I get a little insulted when people, immediately caught, like, I think there was the one, like, oh, the Amazon idiot, I think I mentioned in one of my videos, who was like, do you even test your products? Yeah, sure, buddy. I send them off to Hogwarts for approval, whatever. And then apparently didn't think it was an inferior product because it didn't contain enough cinnamon. I'm like, there's a reason it doesn't contain a lot of cinnamon oil because, do you know what chemical burns look like? Can you just assume that maybe I know more than you dumb shit, and you're making your magic not work? So, I mean, I can be matter of frank about that. I mean, if you're going to insult me, I'm going to throw it right back in your face. But I'm generally speaking not just going to insult you because you happen to, open your mouth and ask a question or, whatever. You have to kind of do something for me to get to that point. I'm generally not that way. And despite being perimenopausal too, I might add, takes some effort on my part. Because, oh boy, I am not used to hormonal angst anymore. I had a partial hysterectomy back about 10 years ago. So I'm like, what is this? I thought this was gone. This is awful. Why do I suddenly want to smack everyone? A lot. Yay. So what else do I want to add to that? Your bodily autonomy is yours. No one else can define that for you. No one else should be telling you what to do with your body and what to put into your body, because there are also a lot of FDA regulations for that. Because if you don't have the liability insurance to back it up, and you're telling people to do some kinds of wacky cleanses and shit, that's on you. And if someone gets injured and sued, you're going to lose everything, because that's a story for another day, because I know the business side of running a business, and I have a fuck ton of liability, speaking of which is I have to renew in September. But yeah, so just key points to reiterate: reputation matters. Look at the reputation of the person. If they got a shit reputation, there's probably a reason for that. Find people and ask them for recommendations. I will 100%, because I'm not good at filtering myself and being insincere. Literally, this is one of those weird autism, ADHD spectrum things where I have a lot of synesthesia. So to me, literally being insincere feels like taking the gougy side of a cheese grater and trying to peel my skin off. So I am very rarely, if ever, insincere. If I am insincere, it's going to be like, oh yeah, sure, that looks great on you. That's a banner idea. Bless your heart, sweetie. It's going to be marred with sarcasm. and snark. But yeah. So crap. Stupid ADHD. I just forgot what I was talking about. So reputation matters. Got into that. Your bodily autonomy is your own. Don't let anyone tell you what to do with that and how to define yourself. Because that's a red flag. Ask for recommendations, like I just mentioned. I will always be more than happy to give them to them. I would probably prefer to give them to you off, not within a YouTube public comment. I would probably do it more privately. You can always reach out to us through our website and social media. I do have people I vetted that I've worked with before that I trust. That list keeps getting smaller, by the way, but yeah. So the thing with intelligent people is we don't have to tell you we're intelligent, we're smarter than you, and whatnot. Um, it should just, like, when you have to tell people and constantly be like stroking your own ego and shit. I don't know. It's just that to me is kind of cringe, just because that's just weird to me. Like, I do a lot of shit and I just don't talk about it. Like, I'm not like, I don't need the accolades for just doing the right thing or whatever. But yeah. So yeah. And this is also not to say, and I want to put one caveat on there. Some crap teachers can have some excellent points. I've read crap books and be like, all right, this one little point here was worth reading this crap book. So some people might have decent things to teach, but they also might be giant assholes and then egomaniac idiots. I vet my sources, and it's what I do. And I try to bring to you the wisdom that that from my experiences, from the times I've fallen on my face, from the times I've been like, why the fuck did I think that was a good idea? So, anyways, I've been going for quite some time here. I hope you found this helpful. Yeah. So, Dunning-Krueger effect, look for it because it manifests pretty hard in a lot of spiritual leaders in the occult community. And I'll leave it at that. Peace out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on social media. Algorithms suck. Sign up for our e-newsletter. You know the drill. Love y'all. Bye.